In this video, we're going to talk about the lifelong process of spiritual formation. It's a huge concept and one that really matters for us to think wisely and well about. So I hope in this time we can talk about it in a way that'll be simple without being simplistic. The first thing you need to know is spiritual formation is just part of being human. The fact of the human soul is that we're always becoming a certain kind of person. It's not a class you sign up for, it's not a PhD program that you have to pursue. Although you can, the spiritual formation of a human soul is just a fact of reality. We're always becoming a certain kind of person. So a way to think about the process of spiritual formation, the lifelong process, is this. You could think of the human soul being represented here by this line, and that over time we're always becoming a certain kind of person, as I said, and that means that this whole process, one's whole life, is always a process of spiritual formation. Now, where that comes to be important for us as Christians is this. When we've entered into a relationship with the God of the universe through the person of Christ, the fact is at that point we've gone from death to life, from darkness to light, and those things are true of us at salvation. But there's a few things that become true of us from the perspective of how our soul is now being formed. There's two things that we can now know about the spiritual formation in the life of a Christ follower. The first is this, that the destination is no longer random and left up to the winds of whatever's happening in our life at any given time. Now, because of our relationship with God, the scriptures tell us that we can know, especially Galatians 4:19 tells us, that we are being formed ultimately into the image of Christ, being made in the likeness of Christ, ultimately being marked by love. Increased capacity for love for God, increased capacity of love for others. So that's the first thing. The destination is we're being formed in the image of Christ, ultimately marked by love. But the second thing is very important as well, and that's this. We know that once we're in a relationship with Christ, the Holy Spirit indwells each one of us. And in a mystical way that we'll leave that to the theologians to define, but we know it to be true. That now from the inside, the Holy Spirit is expending effort. This arrow is to depict effort. There's effort on the part of the God of the universe in your life and in mine toward the end of helping us in this process. Philippians 1:6 is a great reference for this, where Paul is writing to a church and he says that he wants them to be confident in this, that he who began this good work in their lives would be faithful to complete it. Now, that's the effort that God brings toward this end. What about us? Isn't there effort that we need to bring if this process is going to be moving forward in our lives? Intuitively, we know, yes, there's part for us. But what is that? Again, Paul writes in the same book to the same group of people, the next page over in my Bible, urging us to work out our salvation with fear and trembling, to work it out. Well, he's not saying to work for our salvation, that's been settled, but he is saying to work it out, to press it through into all the different dimensions of our personhood. The grace that's been planted deep inside, it's a lifetime of work for that to get expressed in all the different parts of our lives and how we relate, how we handle our finances, how we do emotionally, all those things. So what again is the work we do? To me, that is the role of these classic spiritual practices. I draw this big box to depict effort. A spiritual practice is something I do that you can do that carves out time and space so that you can pay attention to and be responsive to this ongoing work of God in your life. How might that happen? Well, those spiritual practices happen in large group settings. They happen in small group or interpersonal relationships where the human soul cracks just a little bit and God's Spirit moves in and shapes and reshapes who we are. And the final area, and this is very important as well, is these very individual core practices. And those are the things we're going to be learning about more through these videos, and I hope you'll make sure to join us for them.